Hello, and welcome to Your Brand Express podcast, the podcast where business owners, authors, coaches get a chance to articulate their processes and how they express their brands. With your hosts, Carl and CJ Aline. Get your favorite cup of coffee or tea and get a notepad and enjoy the ride. Are you a coach, author, speaker, or service provider who is afraid of speaking on camera? Join the Confident Video Star Nation to overcome your fear. Connect with other professionals, gain access to exclusive resources, trainings, and tools, and learn the skills to become a confident video star. Join now and start your journey to success. Go to Facebook and type in Confident Video Star Nation and join the nation today. All right, everyone. Here we are. We are with the talented, amazing Jim Edwards. Jim, how you doing?
Carl, I'm doing fantastic and getting better.
Getting better.
That's right.
I hope so, because it was an amazing week for you.
I need to stand. I'm going to stand up because you're.
Oh, dude.
I can tell you're standing, right?
Yes, I got to stand up.
That's so I got to stand up so I can match your energy. Hey, that's another secret of doing well with on camera is to stand up and like get the energy going.
Right.
You ever listen to music? Do you listen to music before you get started? I do.
Sometimes I do. Yeah, sometimes I do. Because sometimes music can, since I'm still a performing artist, and sometimes music can kind of get in my way because it just gets so much in my head. But it's really good for me. I'm kind of in that season where I'm listening to it more. You know what I mean? So absolutely. I'm not burnt out from performing anymore. So that's. I have
no rhythm, so I dance by myself.
But hey, Jim, I listen. The next Jim boat, I got you. I will be the first one on the dance floor. I'm gonna get everyone dancing.
There you go. I'm gonna hold you to it.
Hold me to it, brother. Well,
awesome.
Hey, it's great to have you on, man. It's we're gonna get more into it, but it's a treat. Hey, for our audience, this is a treat to have Jim Edwards. Jim, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and what got you into copy and content?
So I got out of school with a degree in history, which qualified me for zero. I could either be a teacher or I could learn how to sell. And so I quit or got fired from 7 different selling jobs in the first 18 months out of school. Then I stumbled into the mortgage business where for whatever reason it clicked and I just learned how to sell. And then I got asked by my branch manager one day, hey, we got to run an ad in the newspaper. Can you write an ad for us? And I'm like, how hard can that be? So I started studying about advertising and copywriting and stuff. And that was my first foray into writing copy. And I learned an important lesson that what you think is good copy may not be good copy and also may not be the best copy when you have a compliance department you have to deal with the bank. So my ads were awesome and the compliance people hated it and they kept trying to make me tone it down. And finally I was like, screw it, I'm not writing any more copy for you. So fast forward about 7 years, I had written a book, had gotten rejected by a bunch of publishers, put the book in a drawer for years, and then one day got exposed to the idea of the internet and selling online. Fast forward even a little bit more, I started selling it as an ebook. I was one of the first people on planet Earth to sell an ebook. In fact, I got written up in the New York Times because of my ebook. I was on the front cover of the real estate section, but I was trying to sell with a sticky website, a 40-page website. And then I got introduced to the idea. So you can see this progression of like, I'll just try, I'm going to do it. You get okay results, but then you just got to be on the lookout for opportunity. I got introduced to the idea of a one-page sales letter. And though I had bought from some one-page sales letters, it never clicked on me that I could make one of those long scrolling letters to sell my thing. And then I got exposed to the formula for that. And I'd always been a formula, a patterns guy. I mean, in college, I figured out a pattern to how to pass any history exam with a B. Like you could get a B and not really study. And I just had this 5-part thing I would do. And so I've always been on the lookout for patterns. So I saw this pattern for this one-page sales letter, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got it. And then I took action. That night, I was at a conference. Now, it didn't hurt that I was basically bankrupt, had no money to go out at night, was at the conference because someone else had brought me. So I sat in the hotel room that night and rewrote the sales letter, or rewrote my website into a sales letter. And that night, my sales went up 250% overnight. Overnight. So whereas I had been selling about a book a day, I started selling on average 2.5 books a day. Now, it might not sound like a lot, but it got me up to making enough money to be able to make a house payment, 2 car payments, and the electric bill. Now, it wasn't the Taj Mahal and these weren't Mercedes, but that was like, ho, 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 okay. Now, we got something here with this sales thing, because a sales letter doesn't call in sick. It doesn't deviate from the sales message. It does the same thing the same way 24/7, 365 until you tell it to do something else. So then a funny thing happened. I said, okay, I got this book thing figured out. Let me write another book. Then let me write another book. So I had started publishing my books and I started selling them. Then people came to me and they're like, hey, how are you doing this with your books? So I teamed up with a guy. We wrote a book called How to Write and Publish Your Own Outrageously Profitable Ebook in as little as 7 days. And that was kind of what launched me. Wrote a bunch more books. And then as time went by, and this is going to tie it now into the video thing, as new tools emerged, I was having to apply the principles that I'd learned in print. Now I had to apply it to audio, because with MP3s, the MP3s came out. Then we had screen capture video. There really wasn't full motion video. With screen capture video, Camtasia, things like that, because everybody's still on dial-up. Then about 2003, 2004, that's when the scale tipped and the majority of people had high-speed internet. That's when full motion video came out. And still, it was a pain to do because you had to do like FLV files and SWIFT files, and you had to have streaming servers and worry about bit rate and all this other stuff. So you spent 20 hours putting together a 5-minute video. And in fact, the making of the video was such a pain. And there were so few videos out there that the actual video content was a complete afterthought of the process. It's like, I can just get up here and talk whatever smack I want for 5 minutes. And the fact that I have a video, people will show up and watch it. So my whole thing was figuring out how to bridge that gap of what people didn't understand how to do, what I didn't have to understand how to do. And I was always like the proxy for my own customers. Like, if I want to know how to do this, then everybody is going to want to know how to do this that's paying attention to me. So let me figure it out, and then I'll create a course, a training, or something to teach them how to do it. So then that pattern kind of came to an end. So I went, now watch the progression. eBooks, MP3s, screen capture video, full motion video, membership sites, webinars. Okay, that was the progression of what I did. I always had a course on how to do each one of those things, but I did it first. So I did it first, figured it out, perfected it, and then I would teach people how to do it once I had actually done it and used it for my business. So once webinars came out, I'm like, dude, pretty much everything that's been invented has been invented as far as doing it this way. So how can I make it easier for people to do stuff? And that's when I did my first wizard software. And I was like, okay, what I want to do is shorten the time from when somebody has an idea to do something and when they actually get the result. So that kind of became my obsession. How can I create little time machines for people? And so then that's when I got Easy Online Wizards, which became the Jim Edwards Method, which became Funnel Scripts, which became Easy Online Wizards, which now has morphed into CopyandContent.ai, where we took all that stuff and we married it up with AI. So what does that have to do with confidence when it comes to being on camera? All of these things would not have amounted to anything if I had not learned along the way how to do one thing, which is to sell the stuff I've got. If
Yes.
you can't sell it, you're screwed. You could have the best thing in the world, but if you can't sell it, no one's going to buy it. And somebody says, if you build a better mousetrap, people will beat a path to your door. That's not true. If that was true, the best-selling mousetraps in the world would not be the ones that go snap. Those are still the best-selling mousetraps. They're not the best mousetraps, but they're the best-selling mousetraps. Why? Because that's what everybody thinks of when they think of a mousetrap.
Right.
But somebody sells that mousetrap. They don't just show up. They don't know about it. So if you want to be successful in anything, you've got to get good at being on screen in video. I don't care if you're an author, a speaker, a trainer, a software developer, a coach, whatever you could, an e-commerce person. All of those require you to be good on camera, whether it's creating promotional videos, whether it's being on Zoom to be able to pitch somebody, whether it's being able to create instructional videos or being on podcasts. You have got to be able to have a presence on camera or you're not going to be able to promote your stuff. So that took me 12 minutes to give you my story and how we got here to this moment talking about this topic. Hopefully that was an okay journey.
That was a powerful journey. That was a powerful journey. And Jim, I'm not sure if you know this, but how I got in connection with you is that I heard about ClickFunnels and I got that ecosystem, but there was something about you that stood out. One, you were yourself. You were yourself, right? And you were confident on camera, but you talked about this concept of selling and even as I learned later on, it's not just selling a product, but selling the idea so that people will pay attention.
Yes.
And what stood out to me a lot was you have people in, because all transparency, everyone, Jim is my copy and content coach, and he is the man. I got to say that. Now you have people in your audience who've been students of yours since 2003 or 2006. Am I right?
Oh, I got some people that have been following me since the late 90s.
Now listen, guys, when in this online world, you got people who could be high and buy coaches, but Jim's a legend in my mind. You know what I mean? So for me, that's what got me in connection with you. And that's important to me because my background is as a performing artist. I've been one for 33 years. And one of the things I value is being seasoned. I don't want to just be an artist who's copying everyone. That's boring. Right. I want to be an artist who makes my mark, right? And be at my fullest potential. So that's what attracted me to you and your community. Because it's so important to be seasoned, because I believe if you do that, you can make more impact. And when I came from the performing artist world, I was like, look, I want to do something where I could be doing for the next 20 years, next 30 years, when I'm 80, So I'm like, you know what? This is it. So I'm not sure if I ever told you that, but
no, I did not know that.
That's it. That's it. So
cool.
It's really cool, And so I'm a firm believer in that. And that way, I want to be able to reach the people who are looking for seasoned coaches who can help them to make those transformations in their lives. So you made that transformation for me, brother. I appreciate you.
That's awesome. Thank you.
No doubt. Question for you. Okay. What tips would you give someone who's struggling with lack of confidence when speaking on camera? Like, I haven't done it before. I'm trying to do it, but I keep procrastinating. But right. What tips would you give, Jim?
So I would say that the first thing that you got to do is just practice. Okay, because a lot of fear just comes from the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to feel. You don't know, something might pop up. I think about the first broadcast email I ever sent. the first one I ever sent out that really mattered, because it was my list. I'd been fired from my job. My wife had given me 30 days to make this whole internet thing work, or I had to go get a job at Lowe's. And I remember thinking, what am I going to do if somebody yells at me? Now it's like, send it out to 80,000 people. Somebody gets pissed, we're just cleaning the list. I don't care. But it's practice, okay? Because practice equals experience. Right. And experience breeds confidence, okay? And if you're worried about screwing up, then go screw up hard, man. Practice by yourself. But the biggest thing is, if you put yourself in front of people, it forces you to do it, as opposed to practicing by yourself, where you're like, oh, well, I'll do it. I just feel kind of weird and I get all kind of nervous and, oh, I'll just start over and all this. You let yourself off the hook before you even get going.
Right.
Practice in front of other people forces you to show up and have to go through with it. So you can do, there are meetup groups. There are masterminds there. You just get together with people. I have so many times in my life when I have, put together a group of people, we show up and we practice together, whether it was cold calling in real estate or practicing keynote speeches. All right. The next thing also is preparation. If you're prepared and if you're practiced, then again, that's going to help you be able to pay attention to the right stuff. Meaning, if you're not prepared, then you're worried about, oh, who do I sound? What am I going to talk about? What's the next thing? No. And you're like a 5-year-old there, like looking like you're getting ready to pee your pants or something, okay? But if you're prepared, then you know what you're going to say, so you can pay attention to the reaction of, like, I'm looking at you right now on Zoom, but even if you were doing a live, you can pay attention to what's going on in the comments. You can pay attention to your own thoughts about what you're saying. And, there's nothing like the dynamic of a live performance. You can dance in front of a camera, but it's very different than getting up on stage and dancing in front of 1,000 people. Okay. It's just different. The energy's different. It's just different. So if you practice and you prepare and then repeat, you don't just speak once a week. You don't just speak once a month. You don't just speak once a year. You speak every day. You get on that camera every day. You don't work out one day a week. Some people don't work out at all. But you don't work out one day a week. You work out every day. You do something every day. So practice, prepare, repeat. That's how you can massively increase your confidence. So, like, for 10 years, I was a syndicated newspaper columnist. I wrote for real papers all over the world. The first time I wrote a newspaper column, it was due at 10 o'clock on Tuesday. I would start at 9 o'clock on Sunday, and I would spend a good 5 or 6 hours writing this 500-word article. And then I'd fax it to this is back in the day, I'd fax it to my dad, and I'd email it to my sister, and she, they'd both look at it and give me feedback and everything. Fast forward, I did this for 10 years. Fast forward a year. Okay, I'd start writing it on Monday. And, it might take me an hour and a half. Fast forward another year, and I'm writing it like Monday evening. Fast forward another year, I'm writing this thing on my Palm Pilot in the Walmart, whatever. Remember Palm Pilots? That'll let you know.
Oh yeah.
Palm Pilot was awesome, dude. I had that little stylus, and I could go with that thing. I can still do those letters, man.
Dude, I have one of those Android phones that have the stylus. I love those. I love these.
There you go.
I love these. Reminds me of the Palm Pilot.
So by the time I was done, if my article was due at 10 o'clock on Tuesday, I might start writing it at 9:15 in the morning on Tuesday. I'd write it in about 10 or 15 minutes, proof it for 5 minutes, send it off, and I was done. Okay. But you only get that through a whole bunch of repetition.
Right.
Repetition means practicing and preparing. Now, I write for Dan Kennedy's newsletter right now. I do the same thing. It's due, it's due on whatever day. All right. I'll write it. I'll get it done. I mean, but that's not being cocky. That's just, I know what to do. I know up here, I know in here, I feel it in my whole body. I mean, I just know. I have a knowing about it. But you're not born with that. It's built. But you got to practice, you got to prepare, you got to repeat over and over and over, and always look for opportunities to stretch yourself.
That's powerful, man.
And let me share one other thing with you.
Sure.
So when it comes to speaking, and the difference between speaking live and speaking on camera is one's in front of a camera and one's in front of a live group of people. It's you don't really approach it that much different. I have spoken on stage in front of 5,000 live people before. I've spoken virtually to, I think, 6,000 or 7,000 people. I was recently at an event where I was not the headliner, where the vast majority of people did not know me. And I had a little booth in the hallway. And I was speaking to anywhere from 1 to 60 people at a time there in our booth in the hallway. Now, funny thing is that we made a show. They didn't put me on the big stage. I said, so I'm just telling you, if you're not gonna put me on the big stage, you're putting me on stage for 72 straight hours. And so all the other people in their booths, they're like, oh yeah, you come talk to me. I'm like, hey, training at 3 o'clock. Get your butt over here. Dexter and I went and got chairs and stuff. People were stealing chairs from the other booths, which was really pissing the other people off. But I put the same amount of energy and preparation into speaking to those 1 to 50 groups as I put into the 5,000 group.
Right.
So what you shouldn't do is judge how much prep, practice, and repeat you should do based on the size of the audience, because I see that's a big mistake people make. Well, only a couple people are showing up. So, and they start kicking rocks and it sucks, man. Nobody's worth doing it. If you want people to pay attention to you, you need to be worth paying attention to. Put that on a t-shirt, brother.
That's right. Woo.
So anyway, that's if I'm talking too much, tell me shut up, Jim.
Oh, dude, this is
I got
perfect.
more questions.
As as CJ would say, CJ's not here today, for those who are watching and listening. He would say facts. That's how I would say facts. Just that, straight that, facts. It's interesting. This shirt I have, those who listen, they can't see, but it says SWAZO. My wife made this up, this acronym. Show up and show out.
Nice.
Show up and show out every time. And I've adopted that and I put that into my coaching program because it's so important. It doesn't matter if it's 5,000 people or if it's 1 or 3 people. It's a mindset. How will you show up and show out? So I love that you said that. That is so true. And it's interesting because even from my background as an artist to speaking, when you practice, it's like you got to put yourself out there, and there are different levels of practice you could do. You could just kind of walk through it, or you can go all out with it. The more all out you go with it, the better you get, the faster you get. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The faster, better. If I say
reps.
That right.
So getting those reps. Yeah.
Get those reps in. So, that's so powerful that you said that. It seems so simple, but it's so true. And that is such a key indicator, key factor, So good stuff, man. Good stuff.
But can I give you one other thing?
Yeah.
You also have to pay attention to the feedback. Because you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over. If you practice the same way, prepare the same way, and repeat the same things over and over without changing something based on feedback, you're never going to grow to a different level. You're going to get real good at your current level. But you got to pay attention to feedback to be able to break this, to be able to go to the next level.
Right.
Because you might be really good at doing it in a mediocre fashion.
Good point. Good point. You know, you always got to level up. I remember you telling the story of it was an Amazon book you did. No, it was a book that you did, and there was one woman who didn't believe you. I think it was your real estate book, right?
Yeah. She said it's not a real book because it's not on Amazon. And I'm like, lady, at the time, you couldn't get on Amazon unless you had a real publisher. So I'm like, I got 40 letters telling you I can't get a real publisher, woman. You know, let me mansplain this to you. And I didn't do that. But I mean, it's like, but as soon as I could get it on Amazon, I knew that I had to master getting books on Amazon because that's what made it a real book.
Right.
So you got to be open to change and feedback and changes in the market to be able to do stuff.
Right. And I appreciate that. You know, it's interesting with what I'm doing too. That's one step that I put in there. Always get feedback, even when I don't think I need it or I'm not thinking about it. Have it as a step to get feedback with whatever you're doing. And so, specifically speaking, with think about speaking on camera, you can have individual conversations with people in your audience and seeing what they're thinking about what product you put out or a live that you put out or what you did. It's always good to get that feedback. So yes, feedback.
But do it in a way. Feedback is a dangerous thing. And I'll tell you what I mean, because feedback if you're only paying attention to the people that liked it, then you're not going to get any better. If you're only paying attention to the people who bitch, moan, complain, and would be upset if they got hung with a new rope. That's what I tell my mother-in-law. You know, you'd bitch if they hung you with a new rope. She thinks, shut up, Jim. You gotta consider the source, and you gotta remove your ego when accepting and soliciting the feedback. That's key, because I've gotten into that trap before. I'm like, I would only listen to people who told me, oh, you did an awesome job. And I'd get pissed when that one person would come up and say, yeah, that was pretty good, except you forgot, you know, every the last 5 webinars I've seen you do, you forgot to tell anybody why this mattered, and nobody understands why, so they're not really paying. I'm like, but the guy was right. You know, but I want to listen to people tell me I did a great job, but you got to listen to the people who might tell you didn't. On the flip side, you don't want to become held hostage to the haters who are just going to hate on you for the sake of hating. So feedback is a slippery slope. Right. But if you're getting a lot of reps, you know you're prepared, and you've been practicing, then you can accept the feedback for what it is instead of letting your ego and judgment and stuff get all caught up in it like your inner 5-year-old. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. It resonates. It reminds me of, you know, even when you say the practice and preparation and repetition, it's like you kind of get to form your own basketball team or football team, because you can get that feedback, right? And the feedback as well. You can get that feedback, but your mind's always in that mode of thinking, how can I be better?
Yes.
How can I get better? And that feedback can only help. And then you get the garbage feedback. Okay, thank you very much. Maybe there's something in there that I could take, maybe not, but you're already in that mode. And I'm a momentum guy. You already have the momentum, and you keep moving forward and you keep growing. So that resonates, man. I tell you.
Yeah.
Here's another question. How has your experience as a copy and content creator helped you understand the struggles of people who are just starting out on camera?
So I think the biggest thing is that when you're just starting out, there's so many different sources of insecurity that can hit you from so many different angles. So like, you know, even stuff like the tech. Hey, does my microphone sound okay? Can they hear me? I mean, I remember the first few lives, I'm like, crap, I don't know if they can hear me. It was technology created a lot of insecurity. So the way that you can do that is with practice. But from the standpoint of, once I got the tech down, the biggest question is, what do I, starts with an S and ends in A, Carl. What do I say?
Swazo. No, that's
No, dude. Wait, 3
I
words,
missed it.
starts with A, S, and ends in A. Say. What do I say? That
What
is
do I
the
say?
biggest source of insecurity and lack of confidence. What do I say?
Right.
Here, let me zoom in
Right.
on that for you.
I felt
Okay.
like Dexter right there.
What no.
Just kidding.
What do I say? What do I say?
Right.
That's a huge source of insecurity. So
Right.
whether you have something done up word for word, or you just have bullets, having something to say, that will help to alleviate the insecurity. Next, having something to say that's based on a proven framework will help remove a lot of the insecurity. So it's like, now I got something to say and I know that it's organized in such a way that it's actually going to help me to accomplish my result. So in speaking, what do they tell you? What's the old saw that they tell you with speaking? Tell them what you're going to tell them what you told them. Now, they don't tell you that because it works real well. They tell you that because it's easy to remember. Because tell them what you're going to tell them what you told them is such an oversimplification of what actually has to take place. But when we're talking about copy, like a sales message, all right? So problem, agitate, eliminate, solve. That's a way to deliver a sales message verbally, okay? Define the problem. Problem is that most people are super insecure and it keeps them from getting on camera. Agitate. Right. What makes that even worse for somebody who feels that way is that the world is moving in the direction of all things video. So if you are afraid to get on camera every day, you are getting further and further behind. Now, what do most people do to try and solve that problem? Well, they get in front of a mirror. Problem is the mirror is not a camera. And a mirror is not going to help you overcome the technical issues of being on camera. Next, they'll go and take some expensive speaking class, or they'll join Toastmasters where they'll get to speak maybe once every couple of weeks. The problem with that is that you're not getting enough repetition. The way to really conquer that problem is to get into a coaching program where you get live speaking experience every single day, and you have a coach that's actually making their money, not by coaching speakers, but by actually speaking. And is as much doing this as a service to the world as they are to make it part of their business. Now, I totally made that entire thing up on the spot. But because I know the framework of problem, agitate, eliminate, solve, I can put the pieces into that framework to create, what was a pretty decent little off-the-cuff video.
Right.
So the confidence comes from knowing what to say and knowing what to say within a proven framework that's going to make what you say effective.
Right.
Does that answer your question?
Which takes practice and repetition.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But I appreciate you saying that because, being a speaker, it's easy to be insecure, even if one's going to Toastmasters, like you mentioned, because they're not getting into that mode in the repetition.
I still get nervous. I still get nervous talking. I get nervous like yesterday. I did a webinar.
Cool webinar, by the way.
Thank you. I had all my little notes, bro. I even have it all on my, on my clipboard. I mean, I was ready.
You're organized.
Yeah. And I'm still like, oh crap, it's about to start. I wish I didn't have to do this. I'd rather take a nap. I'd rather do my thing. But see, I've learned to force myself to do it because what did I do? I set a date. I set a time. I invited people. I had other people that were going to show up to be a part of the event with me. And it had a penalty if I didn't do it of looking like an ass and leaving a whole bunch of people hanging. And then when that clock strikes 2 or 1 o'clock or whatever it was, dude, you got to show up, make it happen. And the funny thing is that we made it through about 2 pages of that. And then I was like, nah, best laid plans of mice and men, brother. We're going this way. And Dexter's like, all right, let's do it. But I kind of knew that was going to happen. So, but that is probably the biggest thing. If it's not a technical thing, it's, well, I don't know what to say. Am I going to talk too long?
Right.
Am I going to talk too short? I'm going to run out of stuff to say.
Right.
So.
Wow, that's encouraging hearing it from you. Like, hey, it's still a struggle for you. You still get nervous.
Oh, yeah.
And what resonated with me too is that the navigation of it. As you navigate, well, let me back up. Before that, you committed to it. You wrote it down. You committed to it. You sent the invites out. Okay, here it is. I got to show up. That's powerful right there. But you navigate it. That's part of the process, but you navigated through it. One thing I've been thinking about a lot is the whole idea of the process. And when we're doing things, and how to make the processes effective and make them fun.
Right.
And take action through the process, because that's where the power is. The power is in the process. And that helps you to grow. That accelerates your growth.
Yeah. And what you just said there, with it being fun, you're more likely to do something that's fun, and you're more likely to do it again if it's fun and you got a positive result.
Right.
But if it sucks, and it sucks the whole time, and it sucks every time you do it, and it's never good luck, because you ain't going to keep doing it.
Right. That's true. And even if you do it and it sucks, even at one time, you got to figure out how you're going to get better and what you're going to do different as you do it. Because let's keep it real. When we go live and we do stuff on videos, we're going to have some that's going to suck. I've done that. When I first used to do stuff on video, even coming from an entertainer's background, my lighting was terrible because I was used to just showing up, and then someone else does all the work. If I'm on a movie set, all right, tell me where I need to go. Okay. Now I needed to think about these things more, which created insecurity in me.
Right.
But I had to learn those technical aspects. Every time I did it, I had to set my mind to get better and better and be intentional about it.
Absolutely.
So
like, I'm looking at me right now with this light shining off my dang forehead, and I'm like, what in the world? I don't know how to get rid of it, but it just is what it is.
Got to keep dodging like dodgeball, right?
I guess.
But I love your setup. Your setup's pretty cool. I tell you what, you also, by the way, side note, you got me inspired with Camtasia.
Okay.
That's my go-to editing software, because it does all of that.
Yeah, and it's like $300 instead of a gajillion dollars with too many controls with whatever the Adobe thing is. It's like, look, dude, I just want to do some cuts and put some music on it. Give me a break.
That's it. Facts. So another question, like what are the biggest benefits of using copy and content to help with speaking on camera?
So it's just an outgrowth of what we just said here. It's knowing that you're saying something effective, so you can focus on the delivery instead of worrying about what you're going to say. That's the biggest thing, because delivery, once you know what you're going to say, how you say it is just as important as what you say.
Love it. Jim, you got to tell us about your new software. Listen, let me tell you, last night, I was supposed to go to bed. I was on my laptop. I was in the software, man. I was like this. I was geeking out, man.
That's awesome.
You set it up where you got to be careful with the endorphins, man, because we're geeking out and it's gamified and we're going after it, and we're excited about putting out the content, So tell us more about CopyandContent.ai.
So what CopyandContent.ai is, it's a push button software that helps you to write custom sales copy and custom content for your business targeting your ideal customer. So the big struggle for everybody's always been coming up with the first draft, because for some people, they never even get to the first draft. Some people, you say, okay, you got to write a 10-page sales letter to sell your coaching program. They're like, and then 2 weeks later, it's not done. 2 months later, it's not done. A year goes by, it's not done. That's what I see with a lot of these things. People join, and then it's like, hey, you got to write a sales letter. And they're like, I'm out of here. And so what I've been doing for the last really 15 years is helping people with push button software solutions to help them put up websites, write sales letters, write emails, write copy that they need. The stuff that I've made has been pretty amazing. It's changed a lot of people's lives. We call them wizards. Then about 3 years ago, I got wind of this whole AI thing, the whole GPT thing. That was back when it was GPT-2, GPT-1, GPT-2. And they came out with this thing called GPT-3. And I was like, yeah, it's a game changer. And then Microsoft bought it, stuck it in and no one could access it. It's like, boo, you suck. But so I went and created my own, spent a bunch of money and created my own, what's called a large language model. That's what they base this whole GPT stuff on. And we were integrating that with my wizards and stuff. And then they came out with GPT, Chat GPT, and the ability to integrate with the company that has Chat GPT. Bottom line, we took AI, plugged it into my existing software, and it was like the DeLorean from Back to the Future, 88 miles an hour. And it's like, pew! And so now what this software will do is it takes your avatar, takes your ideal customer, which you define, your offer, mashes it up with my software, mashes it up with my large language model, my AI stuff, and the same technology that is behind ChatGPT, and takes your content, our software, the AI, and creates some amazing results. Like write an entire 10-page sales letter in 90 seconds. It'll write blog posts for you in 20 seconds, and it's good stuff. It'll write all your ads. It'll write your emails. It'll write your blog posts. It'll write your entire presentations, even create your PowerPoint slide deck. Anything you need to make, it'll make.
Your podcast
and
too.
Your podcast stuff. And the cool thing, I mean, I think you used the Genie to help create the questions for this podcast.
I sure did. Yep, I'm a user.
So
this exact podcast, this exact episode, all the episodes actually.
So the cool thing is that it makes it easier for you, no matter what you do, to be able to do it faster, easier, and better, so you can focus on making sales instead of learning how to be a copywriter. So you can focus on building relationships instead of learning how to become a professional blog post writer. And the interesting thing is that I say it's the easy button, but it's a different easy button for different people at different times. Because some people right now are struggling with emails, so I can take that whole struggle away, and they're like, man, now that my email thing's done, I can start doing blog posts. I can do video stuff. I'm struggling with videos. I'm struggling with being able to create my my YouTube video scripts or my YouTube titles and my descriptions, all that stuff. And now I got genies that'll do that, and stuff that comes up with the script. Man, I can do in 5 minutes what used to take me 5 hours. Now I can focus on creating a product and selling it and creating the sales letter. So it's just funny that it's a different easy button for different people at different points in their business. So some of the testimonials we've been getting, some of the stories that we've been getting from people, I mean, have been truly humbling. We did a presentation on Wednesday when the cameras were done rolling. One of the ladies who was in there has been with us for a couple of years. She started crying. She said, "You don't know what a difference this has made for me in my business, to be able to get done what I never could get done before. Now I'm getting done." And she was crying, crocodile tears of joy and gratitude. So it's very humbling. So
that's powerful, brother. That's powerful. Yeah. And Jim, I'm not sure if this was intentional, but I find for me as a user that even the wizards too, and even the concept of coaching, right? These draw you out. These tools draw the person out. And I'm a full fan of being, living to your fullest potential. So you want your best drawn out of you. Mm-hmm. These tools do it.
Oh yeah, yeah, on purpose. I mean, it's the big issue has been, how do I and I've been doing this for years of drawing the right information out of people to help them be able to get the result that they want. It's not happening by accident. These are my reps. I mean, this is me getting my reps, the practice, the prep, the paying attention to the feedback, just over and over and over. I mean, I think back in 2007, 2008, when the first wizards that I was trying to sell. I'm in a mastermind, or was in a mastermind with a guy who had been a business professor at Harvard, and another guy who's been a international best-selling author for 20 years. And the Harvard business professor guy's like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. These questions suck. I mean, I'm thinking I've reinvented the world, and he's like, nah, these questions suck, man. And I always, it's just funny, back to, consider the source, all these other things.
Right.
But that made me get better. And I'm always trying to get better at asking people the questions in the software in a way that gets even better answers, because better answers create better results.
Right.
So, but the bottom line is the software, you just answer some questions, whack a button, and you get amazing results. Like, you answer a few questions, it'll write a totally unique email. It'll write stories. It'll create presentations, slide decks, ads, blog posts, articles, Facebook Lives, Instagram posts.
Right.
All that stuff. It's pretty cool. I use it all the time.
I dig it. That's no hyperbole too, y'all. You guys, that's no hyperbole. I tell you, it's literally, I use it every day, man. Every day. Too. It's on my browser. So
yeah.
Well, I tell you, Jim, it's been great having you, man. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're busy, and to take the time out to do this interview, man, it's a pleasure, man. Where can people find you? Where can they go if they want to take a look at these tools?
So you can go to CopyandContent.ai, or you can go to thejimedwardsmethod.com. So those are the two places where you can check me out. And I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. You're an action taker. You're a doer. You're a giver. You're making a big difference in the world, and I appreciate you.
Thanks, brother. And I'm a dancer.
Yes, you are. You have to dance for the both of us.
That's right. Well, I got you, Jim. I got you, Jim. Jim, I got you. There you have it.
We hope you enjoyed our podcast. If you would be so kind, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and or if you're listening to any of our platforms, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whichever one, please be so kind to give us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed the podcast. And we'll talk to you soon.